Welcome back to Claire Annoyance. By pressing play, you confirm that you have zero fucking standards. Just like Megan and Ryan, who continue to do the bare minimum to exist. You waited multiple months for their comeback only to find they built an artificial intelligence to narrate the episode. Apparently, a lifeless algorithm has more emotional range than they can muster. Wow, wow, wow. Anyway, cue the episode, if we must.
Have you ever been victimized by New Age spirituality?
We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting.
You're gonna want to listen up.
I'm Megan, an intuitive life coach and Reiki master.
I'm Ryan, a professional astrologer, and we want to show you what spirituality is by talking about what it is not.
Con artist.
Yes.
Snake oil salesman.
There are so many susceptible people out there.
And then they're tainted. They're ruined. They don't want to come back to spirituality.
We still have a lot to learn, and we will humble ourselves and learn, I think, every freaking day. This is Claire Annoyance,
a podcast of spiritual interference. Did you miss us?
We're back.
Oh, man. We've been on a hiatus.
Sure the fuck have. Where do you even... We last recorded, what did you say, January 9th?
That was our last... No, we've recorded since then, but it's been like touch and go. Our last published episode was January 9th.
I am a totally different person than I can't. The January 9th me, I can't even... I get like, who... What a nice lady.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
If she even knew the shitstorm that was about to arrive on her front doorstep. What about you? How do you feel about your January 9th version?
It was, I feel like I knew stuff was coming. You know what I mean? It just felt that way. So yeah. I think that there was this like January 9th Ryan that was anticipating, you know, and like kind of like restless and on edge or something. Still very much the same, but like sure enough, like it's like that roller coaster, you know, has now dropped down that hill and it's like, whoa, here we fucking go, bitch. Like, oh shit. Like, oh, so a lot has changed. Thank you, listeners, for bearing with us in our pause. I know many people have asked us, are you guys still recording?
Yeah.
Yes, I promise. We have episodes in the bank too, by the way, like waiting to be published. It just like, I think now that there's been a pause, a conscious pause, like this is a good episode.
But yeah, you can't just bust back onto the scene.
Yeah, like I didn't want to just throw out a topic all of a sudden, but we've got stuff, so don't worry. And our next episode will be the 2025 astrology preview. Bitches, we recorded that back in like December of 2024. The 2025 astrology preview. We're still going to put it out. It's still going to be relevant. There's still most of the year left, so it's still going to be relevant, et cetera, et cetera. So sorry for some of the dated references and stuff that you might hear in some of these backlogged episodes, but you know, at least it's content.
Yeah. You got something to listen to. And always it's good to have a reference point, especially in astrology, especially if you're dealing with something like eclipses or something that you're going to encounter again if a sign moves, like Neptune moving into Aries, okay? It's going to be here for a little bit, but then it's going to slide back into Pisces. So you're going to have these nice reference points that you'll be able to listen to.
For this episode, so it's sort of clear, serendipity-ish, but trying to kind of give it a different little spin. So I've got like various categories that we can like catch you up on our lives, discuss all the shit going on in the world or whatever kind of pops up, but through some unique lenses that hopefully will get everybody's brains moving out there and like help you be thinking about your own lives.
And per usual, I have no idea.
No, for sure.
With these topics.
Dude, for sure. Okay, so I know, I love it. But that's like, see, we're still clairvoyants. Don't worry, guys.
The element of surprise. Yes.
Okay. Enough goddamn yapping. Let's start the segments. The first segment is called the time capsule. But this is Claire Annoyance, so the time capsule is more like haunted Tupperware.
The time capsule! Okay, so basically, our last episode was January 9th. So it's like pretend we opened or we buried a time capsule on January 9th, and now right now we're opening it. What do you find in your time capsule? Like, where were you then? How did you feel then? And how have things changed since then? We kind of already just a little bit discussed it, but any other insights?
I think, it was, I- yeah, wisdom is so much wisdom has been accumulated in the past 3 months through suffering. So I just think that I was not that I'm not optimistic now, but I was just like, oh, I was hopeful. I was more hopeful about certain things. And so maybe balloons would have been in there.
Balloons? Ah,
Yeah, balloons, and the celebration, and
no.
then
It was
but
right
they've been
after the
popped.
new year, even. It's like we knew what was coming with this godforsaken, pathetic excuse for presidency. But there was still this like, well, let's see what happens. I actually had a client, if you're listening, hello. But I had a client recently who just found our podcast. And I think she was
Oh,
referred
cool.
by someone, but like from one of my other clients, but then she like started listening to the podcast. And so she started on the January 9th episode and she like loved it and how we were like still, kind of trying to be balanced about everything and be like, I think, let's hope for the best for the presidency. If he fucking nails it, then well shit, but damn, he's not nailing it, is he?
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean this, and it's so funny. Like this is like such a funny little like segment idea for me, like this time capsule. Cause I'm like, you bury a time capsule like 10 years, like before you're gonna open it, 50 years or whatever. And I'm like, this has been the longest fucking few months ever.
It really has. February and March were so like February, I was so self-destructive, just torturing myself. And there were like truly, when I look at February, there were maybe like little pockets of enjoyment. It was like I've been in grief has been the name of the game, and we'll get into that. But like February kicked off with like grieving for me, and then March was like hold my beer. I turned 40. I mean, and that was just
I wish I was there. Oh my God.
I mean, honestly, I want a redo of my birthday. I had this gut feeling that March was going to be a wild month. And not in a great way. And I completely underestimated that. And I'm okay, dear listeners, but your girl's grieving. Grief is the name of the
I know.
game.
And again, you'll hear this in the astrology preview. I think so, at least. I don't know, because we recorded that forever ago. But I will say, we are on the precipice of more change, more big fucking dramatic change. But like really the end of May, things have already technically started, but it's so subtle. But like the end of May, there's a big fucking astrological shift happening, and it starts a series of massive shifts that transpire through the summer and fall, basically, that end up becoming basically a massive preview for like the next like few years. And it's so supportive. So I am still carrying some bizarre level of hope.
Great.
Like it's so different and big, but I'm kind of like, maybe like that shit is like, I think it feels very near the end of like the finish line here. Even though so much new stuff is happening and there's so much
Yeah.
change that's been happening, blah, blah, blah. There's still this big
Yeah.
fucking life vibe that I feel like we're sitting in a bit. And I do think it's kind of coming to a close, which it's so weird for me to even process that because I'm like, this presidency just fucking began and we got 4 more fucking years of it. So who am I to be sitting here saying like, oh, all this
Yeah.
supportive fucking energy is coming in? But it is. So I don't know what to do about that.
No, I think, but that's life. That's the dichotomy of life. Like the thing is that I know that anytime that I've sat in pain to the level, God, I don't want to start crying already. Like I create the most incredible things in this. So you just have to like, you just have to like go through it. And grief is part of love. And grief is like, you can't avoid yourself and you can't avoid these chapters. So if you're going through it, which my God, this is not what I'm going through is not an isolated incident. Like everyone you talk to, it's like, no shit. My God, are you joking? And you just keep hearing these stories But then you also hear these stories of like just perseverance. So when you're going through something, look to the opposite. Where are people loving you? Where are people showing up for you? Where are people, Ryan, you sent me a text message or a sweet message at least once a week, checking in, like, and you're having your own tales of nonsense. So
Yeah, it does get good. You're saying some really cool shit. I'm just gonna like kind of give a little sneak peek about this amazing like idea I have. That's not really gonna give too much away, but like I've already got the title of the episode. But it's just funny because of like words, specific words you've used already. Like you said, like suffering, right? And grief being a big part of this too.
yeah.
But so like the episode that we're going to do is called The Shape of Suffering. And oh my God, it is so cool where this is going. But it's really interesting. But then also just the fact that you just said, like, sitting in that pain makes you creative. That's a whole fucking thing with this. Like, so like seriously, seriously, seriously. And so there's like this molding going on of like the suffering, like what's the container, what's the shape of that suffering? And like you do get to like change that. That's all the teaser you're gonna fucking get about that, but it's just really fucking serendipitous that
I was about
I
to say,
know.
look at all these
Yeah, dude.
synchronicities.
So, needless to say, we've changed a fuck ton in this little hiatus we've had.
Segment 2. This one is called the Psychic Hotline. Because Logic left the chat a long time ago.
Psychic hotline. I don't know what else. It's just I don't know. But okay, what we're gonna do is you and I are gonna predict something that has transpired in the other person's life in the last few months that we are not aware of.
Oh.
Okay. Do you want me to go first? Because I already kind of have
Yeah,
one.
you
It's
go
like
first.
lighter. It's not like I'm not like predicting anything like crazy. Although I did tell you one before we hit record that the thing I saw twice, or I was like, is this
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
wanted to go there, I would choose
Yeah.
that. But okay. No, my thing is, Megan's living in a new space right now. For some reason, that changes lifestyle, like getting in new spaces. So my big thing is, and knowing, if you've listened to this podcast at all, you know how health conscious Megan is. She's like workout queen, like sometimes surviving off almonds. My, my
At the
I
end
know
of
this is
that.
such a light prediction. It's not even a big deal. But my prediction is in the past 3 months ish, 3.5 about, that you've had some significant alteration in what you're ingesting, I guess. Like, did you learn how to cook a new food that you've never had before, or just cook it all and you never cook, Something like that is like what I'm thinking. I feel like there's like a dietary thing that has changed in you. Like you're now like really into a certain type of workout smoothie or something. I don't know, but I feel like something has changed in that.
Yeah, I've been more intuitively eating, which has never been the case. I'm about to start, getting back into prep for my next show. But yeah, and that's huge. Normally I'm very like measured and calculated.
Yeah, that's true. That is a huge change. Yeah.
Huge. So yeah, money on the spot. And then I was telling you, I started taking these bioactive peptides and my mental improvement which has really been the past 2 weeks, I directly contribute to that. So I have been ingesting something new.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So with you're such an enigma and you refuse, like coming back to like shapes, you refuse to ever take a shape because you will not be confined to. So it's like when I was like, because I was kind of reading you, it's like there's such a question mark of people in your life right now where you're like, do I want to continue investing in this? Because I love you. There's a more serious tone about it. Instead of you just doing the Gemini think. It's now like sunk into your heart and your brain and your soul. I love you, but also enough is enough. And, I need to focus on me. What kind of next moves will I be making? It's very like there's a very serious tone to how you are taking yourself, which I haven't seen in a very long time, if ever. And about your future and about your life, where you're like, I can't rely on it. Like who I can rely on? Myself. And where am I going and where do I want to go? But you're not talking about it with people. You're talking about it with yourself. in a very serious tone.
This is very true. This is completely true. And you know nothing about this. But yes, this is incredibly true. I've had very significant shifts in some of my closest relationships over the last few months here. And I'm adjusting to that and taking the reins on it. You know, I'm not being like, woe is me about anything at all. Really shifting my priorities and yeah, and I am more serious about it. And I have a really big update that like I won't share on the podcast, to be honest, but I'll tell you like once we hit stop recording. It's like it's a quick
Yeah,
update, but
no,
it's like a long time coming update, dude. Yeah, there's that. You know, it's funny when you even said like talking about the shape of things. I thought your question was going to be like, what shape are you, Ryan? I literally like you're always like going in and out of shapes. Like, what shape are you right now? I don't know. But to answer that question that you did. The first thing that popped up in my head was a tornado, but it wasn't like big, crazy tornado. It was like one of those like really clean looking tornadoes, you know, like effective fucking
little
tornadoes,
baby.
which made me then think of like, okay, it's more funnel. Like that would be like, it's like a triangle, but like the bottom of the triangle is a little cut off, you know, because something is still coming out.
Hmm.
And that's how I feel in a way where it's like, I'm still open-minded and like taking in all this shit, right? But I'm as like it's like a funnel. It's like as it goes down the funnel, I'm
Yeah.
distilling, I'm taking out what the fuck isn't necessary right now. I am like really editing and auditing every fucking thing I can at the moment so that whatever falls out the
I
bottom
love
is
that.
actually usable and resourceful and to my fucking benefit.
Yes. Editing and auditing. I love that. You need to, I love that. Yes, good. Because it's about time. It is the, you know, and I already know.
Well, there's a couple
Yeah,
updates I should probably give you, but there's
I
one
know.
really like there's one like for me update that I'll give you that's like really
Yeah.
fucking good. It was like really difficult for me to swallow at first, but like, you know,
You look like light and like you look like there's light in your eyes again. And that's the thing too. If you ever look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, damn, I look like shit. And and look at who's around you that is sucking the life out of you. Who around you? Because if all of a sudden, if nothing has changed in your life, chances are, if all of a sudden you look ill, it is because somebody around you is either stealing your peace, you know, siphoning off of you. And I know how crazy that sounds, but it happens. And they might not even know that they're doing it. It might, you know, but if your body is rejecting someone, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you know, and it's a different type of uncomfortable. It's not if you're getting challenged.
mm,
Okay. If someone is challenging you, a friend, person, a lover, whatever, but if you're just around them and you're like, ugh, and it's not in your brain, it's just a soul thing. You know, put some distance. And if you start to glow up, well,
there's
there's
fucking
your
something
answer.
to that, right? I think like this is totally I've been also reflecting on that. The only thing I something that has helped me in this, it's not easy, trust, I know, but really a helpful thing has been to like not judge these I don't even want to call it negative, but these influences outside of me that I'm needing to create distance from. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, that's a bad person. Like, they're just because maybe it's not vibing with me right now and it's holding me down doesn't mean oh that's a bad human, you know what I mean? Like that's not correct, and I
Yes.
think that's a shitty way to think
You're
of
not
it. Yeah, you don't need to
villainizing.
do that. Like I think that's like so crappy to kind of create that fucking narrative, you know? Like don't no, it's going to make it
Yeah.
so much more difficult for you to actually like detach from it.
Oh, you know what? This brings me to something else because I am now this whole year with myself and my clients. It's like, where are you responsible? Because so many times, especially when it comes to, you know, our interactions with other people, it's like this person hurt me. He was a player. She was, you know, she broke my heart. Where is your personal responsibility in this? And when you take personal responsibility and then you're not demonizing them, you give yourself power. You know, like and it's such a different healing frequency instead of being a little bitch and being like, "Ooh, you hurt my feelings," or it drives me insane because I have so many friends who are on these different journeys, and some of them I agree with, and some of them I don't. And I'm friends with a lot of emotionally unavailable men, and a lot of men who have, your classic avoidant attachment or chaotic attachment styles. And the thing is that as these guys have gotten older, they say, this is what I'm available for. This is what I'm not available for. And it's very brave for these people to say this to begin with. And then the girl or guy, oh, I'm cool with it. No problem. No big deal. Then they villainize that person when they catch feelings and they want more. And it's like, no, no, no. But from the get-go, what was said was, this is all I can offer. When you're able to take personal responsibility and not blame that, you ruined my life, you hurt my feelings. Yeah, your feelings are hurt, but you willingly engaged in that. And when you take responsibility, it is such a game changer.
Dude, 100%. I don't know if listeners are going to remember this because this might be in an episode that we haven't fucking published for all I know. Truly. But I think we talked about this at some point. I won't rehash everything, but like that's kind of been the era I think I've been in for a while now. It's just it's a Saturn thing, planet of responsibility, and I'm going through some fucking gnarly Saturn transits, which is also the ruling planet on my goddamn birth chart. So go whatever. But
it's mine too, isn't it?
yeah, Capricorn rising. Yeah, we have it in very different ways though.
Yeah.
Like how it rules us
Yeah.
it plays very different roles.
Yeah.
But I've been like for the last couple years, it's just because Saturn delays and it takes time. I'm finally feel like I've been grasping it over the past like 6-ish months and just getting better and better at it. But like my whole thing lately has been like radical responsibility. You know how like people always talk about radical self-love and like, but I mean really like radical. Like I think people use that and don't actually adhere to it. They just call it that. And I'm like, no, radical means like you are going to fucking extreme measures, taking it as far as it can possibly fucking go until life shows you you've done that job now. You have literally been so radical that life has now changed or you have fundamentally altered and you don't need to do this kind of thing anymore. So it has been working for me, but like that's been part of it. Like to be like, oh wow, this person fucked me over. Yeah, that sucks. Or maybe it was senseless or whatever. I'm just being like hypothetical right now, but like to take the responsibility on myself to figure out how can I not put myself in that position anymore, which is not victim blaming by the goddamn way. It is empowering, like you said. I am taking responsibility in my own hands, even though something senseless happened to me that I didn't deserve from another person. How do I take responsibility to ensure that doesn't happen again, which maybe means I'm removing myself from that person's life or something without pointing blame at them. Because what the fuck's that going to do?
Yeah.
Like, that's radical responsibility to me. But that is incredibly goddamn difficult. Like, these are not easy things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's very hard.
110%. And that when someone doesn't tell you through words, because some people don't have the words, some people don't have, look at their actions. Someone's actions will always tell you where they stand. And it's been interesting to see the two camps, because what essentially is happening right now is that if you do not have some sort of personal development practice, whether it be you're working with a life coach, an energy healer, an astrologer, a therapist, if you're reading self-help books, if you are not in the process of bettering yourself on any sort of level, we're speaking different languages. Like you can't, we might be speaking English, but we are not on the same plane. And it is becoming increasingly difficult for the people who are on a betterment journey and then those who are not to communicate. And then there are the people who are not, there's people who just don't know yet. And it's like, hey, let me show you, like, let me expose you. Like, just take a look. Conversations are how you're exposed, but it's the people who are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I have zero interest in that. And so, okay, so you are now saying no to evolving as a person, as a soul, and staying where you are. Have fun coming back here. Go back and listen to our Michelle Brock episode. You think that have fun having to learn these lessons again. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Moving on. Time for segment 3. Pick a word. It's like Mad Libs, but dumber and more emotionally unstable.
So I have ChatGPT open in front of me, picking one random word for you and for me separately that
we have to
Okay.
just like think like what does it mean for you right now? Can you relate it to anything that's been going on in your life or right now? Like I don't know. Like again, serendipity sessions, like spontaneous insights. Like who knows? Who knows? Okay. So I just said, okay, give me a word for Megan. It said, let's go with threshold for Megan. What does that mean for you? Anything?
Yeah, I think that I I continue to break through thresholds of different emotions and thought processes and places where I'm like, oh, at one point I thought this would have definitely killed me, or this definitely would have
Mm.
hurt, or this would definitely would have just taken me out. And I'm like, oh, look at you. Here you are, you sad bitch. Beep beep.
Mm.
You're still you're still around. And so I keep, redefining what I'm able to handle, what I'm doing, and also what those definitions mean. Like the things that I used to pride myself on, now I'm like, that was dumb. So I'm now, yeah, so I'm reaching new thresholds.
I like that, which requires like resilience, I think you said before too. Like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's a good one. That makes me think of this one therapist who I want to get on here. I believe she's a therapist. I'm pretty positive. I think she calls herself something else though. Oh, she calls herself the capacity expert. That's it. But she talks about capacity. And she's very much like flips a lot of mental health and therapy speak topics on its head to be like, we're fucking doing mental health the wrong way. And we've like it's bad, bad, bad.
Yeah.
She's so fucking amazing. I really want to get her on. Because she calls herself the capacity expert. And she's like, it's not about like healing and getting over this stuff and blah, blah. It's about holding all of it. Like you need to create more capacity for yourself to deal with all this shit that's happening in life. So I feel like that's
I
what you're
love that
doing.
because I am never getting over certain things, and that's okay. And it's not a negative thing. I don't want to get over certain things. I want to like feel, because the thing is that if you're in this perpetual state of healing, you're not necessarily feeling because you're chasing the next assignment. It's just, I love that, like, so yes, expand your capacity, flip everything that you know on its head. And also, you know what I'm sick of? I would love to have her on because so many people have weaponized therapy speech. And it's like you have a gross misunderstanding of yourself and personality disorders. And now because you went and saw a few TikToks, you think X, Y, and Z. No, no, no. You need to get outside, get some sunshine on your face, drink a water, read a book that has zero to do with mental health, unless you're going to school for
Dude,
it.
yes, this is like a spot on. But a lot of therapists also like that's also why I've always had my kind of gripes about like therapy is
Hmm.
that it's a fucking 100-year-old thing. Like this is new. These practitioners in this space are like second generation. You know what I mean? Like it's a brand new thing. So I think that most of them are probably doing what they can. But I'm like, is a new fucking field. We have fields that are thousands of years old. It's math, like and they're
Yeah.
breaking concepts all the time that they've long held as like this must be a truth about the universe or something, right? Like so you can't take your fucking therapist's word for Bible. You can't take our word for Bible. Like that's just not how things should be. And so I love that she's like seriously using like incredibly powerful tools for breaking the mold. It's kind of like with nobody's heard this episode yet either, I don't think, but we talked about it in some episode recently about how I was like complaining about like the Mel Robbins let them theory or whatever. It's I know,
Literally
but
every
no, I
time
know.
now.
Well, no, isn't it funny though that like now I'm seeing these like funny videos about that? Like all of a sudden I keep getting them. Anyway,
Mel Robbins is like intro to self-help.
yeah,
It's like, because it's like, oh yeah, like this does like to the people who I was like the boomers who are like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to change. She is like the pipeline to being like, maybe I shall work on myself a little bit.
well, and she's the reminder, like, because I still get so many fucking videos. I swear we have this episode where we were just like kind of talking some trash. I was talking trash about how I'm like over some of these like elementary topics or whatever, and this capacity expert has been like blowing my mind wide open. Honestly, it's I got what I was looking for basically, but we have to have her on. But now I'm getting a lot of videos still on like TikTok where it'll be like some like young white girl who's like, you guys, like you really can just like wake up and choose to change your life. And it's these like platitudes that I'm like, okay, bitch. Like these people are still having these very basic realizations about life. You know what I mean? So a person like Mel Robbins, who
Mm-hmm.
can be that like top of the funnel person, right? Like is
Uh-huh.
good still. She
Yeah.
has her fucking space. You know, it's just, you're not going to make it to the bottom of my funnel, Mel Robbins.
And when that episode comes out, I'm like, no, but I love
Oh
her.
my God. No,
But now after that too, it has like it's a little. You remember when like there was too much Taylor Swift in like
yeah.
2016, and she had to take a break? You know, like I feel like that's where like there can be you need to know when to pull back. You know, like people's PR teams need to know when you've oversaturated a market because she pulled back. Taylor pulled back for a few years, popped back on the scene, and now look. You got to know when you're oversaturated,
And I
you know?
think there's kind of like some weird assumption that we have of like, oh, the let them theory, like as if that's just some like start and end with this. Like, no, like it's not some cure all. It's like a thing integrated if you fucking want, but like it will create new situations in your life that you now need to deal with. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
it's not like some big secret sauce to like living life easier necessarily. Like it's just going to change things. And now you're going to have a lot of other offshoots in your life then from integrating that philosophy that you now need to like deal with and move through, and new problems and solutions will emerge. So I just don't like the idea that it's like, this is it, you know, like it's not
Oh yeah.
it. Nothing is.
No, it's only it when you die, and then I
We
don't,
don't even,
don't even think it's it then because then your soul just leaves
bam,
your body, and then we're still evolving into consciousness. So you're
bam,
never
she went
done.
there.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I don't think you can't terminate your
No.
soul like from the universe.
I don't know. I mean,
You
that's
could.
like again science, energy, just
I know. I was literally, as I was saying it, I was like, can you? Because it goes to the free will. That's something else. Maybe we need to look into that. Does anybody know someone not so I holler if you know someone who can answer that question that has actual
truly.
credentials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Perfect. Now give me one for Ryan. Let's see what ChatGPT pops out for my word. Oh, damn, it's like I gotta think about this. Fucking disaster. Eclipse. Weird.
Because I.
um, that's funny. I the eclipses didn't like directly hit much in my chart, but they're larger like storylines that play out over like 6 months, et cetera, et cetera. I Mine fell in my money houses, well, one of them, and that is certainly a big theme, just considering resourcefulness. But it was like the passive money house, which I guess is how I make my money as a business owner. But it's also like my eighth house is, I guess, where I'm thinking eclipse wise, and it's about uh codependence, interdependence, asking for help, like give and take, reciprocity, ROI on people and their things in your life, you know? So I think I'm doing that. That's kind of like the funnel thing again, where I'm like really assessing, like, okay, here's everything in my goddamn orbit right now, but like what's actually serving me and what's not. And kind of like paying down those like kind of social and emotional things I've felt very indebted to for no goddamn reason. You know what I mean? So that's more of, like, I guess an eclipse
Yeah.
realization has been very psychological rather than anything else. I've had some crazy fucking astrology lately, like really fucking nuts, but like the eclipses were definitely more psychological for me.
Segment 4. Current events. Because the world is on fire. But don't worry. Megan and Ryan showed up with a juice box.
Any crazy big current event or thing going on that's caught your eye and you've like been ruminating in it? I'm also asking this because I think I've been considering just the idea of like balance because of like the hiatus we've taken and how I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much happening in the personal life, in the professional life, and fucking current events and everything. And it's like hard to cre- hold the podcast at the same goddamn time. Like the amount of things that you're juggling in such a crazy world right now, you know? And so I've been,
Mhm.
for me, like, I feel like, yeah, there's always personal life and professional life bullshit going on, you know, like that's never
Mhm.
stopping, I feel like for me. But I feel like one of the things that's really thrown me off balance has been the creative event stuff. Like I just feel like I keep getting pummeled. So like almost like meta creative events style, I've been like really like I want to stay plugged in. Like I'm a news freak. I not like I think in an unhealthy way though. I have a good capacity for like taking in news and staying informed on things, but
Yeah.
I've struggled lately with when do I take in the news right now? Because if I take in the fucking news in the morning, it fucks up my whole day. If I stop in the middle of the day to like try and like look at some like news, what's going on in the world, I kind of like get frozen a little bit, and then it's really difficult for me to readjust and focus back on work or something, you know? At the end of the day, I'm now
Yeah.
starting to like get anxious and then I lose sleep. So I'm like, current events are so wild right now in general. Like, I'm sorry, this man that we've deported who is like from Maryland, who's like does
Oh.
not need to be in fucking El Salvador and they have no goddamn evidence. And like that is blowing my mind and the implications of it all for like they're just basically saying we can round up anybody that we want, throw them into another country if we want to. And then even if the Supreme Court rules that, you know, they need to come back, oops, they're in another country and that country doesn't abide by our Supreme Court. Like that's literally what they're doing now. Like and that's one of many fucking things. I mean, Katy Perry just went to fucking space for 8 goddamn minutes or whatever, and everybody's like, that's just like the most brain dead thing ever. Like, I mean, there's so many things. I'm just like, this is taking up so much bandwidth in my world that it's hard to integrate current events right now for me. I'm doing it, but it's hard. That's what's throwing me off balance. But any specific current
Yeah.
events for you that's like been like crazy?
I think um the tariffs have been
Dude.
cracking me up because because I mean I honestly the one thing is that like all my fucks are gone and so I'm like oh, you know I am a resilient person, I'll figure it out. But what I was not expecting, I knew China would play ball, but just kind of how like with the TikTok ban came into play, and China was like, "Don't worry, guys, I gotcha." And now, you know, everyone's talked about the fall of capitalism, and I think the way that it looked in a lot of people's minds, is it's not going to take place like this. We are now seeing China be like, Americans, hey, don't worry, like we get that that's your government. So what we're going to do is help
Yeah.
you out. We've been a great trade partner. And, you know, now that's going to end. And here, get your Tide
Dude.
Pods for 5 cents.
Insane.
Here, get your, you know, like get your Chanel for, you know, and everything. So we're going to see a completely different economy. And then I'll be curious to see what rises, what takes place. Luxury brands are absolutely fucked. I mean, I don't know how you come back from this because when you can get a purse because I've been on DHgate when you can get a purse and then you can take it into Louis Vuitton and you can get it authenticated.
Mhm.
You know, so that's been quite. I mean,
Well,
oh, you needed a car? Here's one for $8,000. It's amazing. Oh, we're gonna figure out the cell phone situation because Apple. Yeah, well, that also another thing. Apple going and like getting like a
oh
bazillion
yeah.
planes to fly in. That
Well,
cracked me up too because that was just
I
like
know.
so
Well,
drug
and
cartel.
then Trump was like, "Wait, never mind. We're not going to do tariffs on electronics, so your cell phones are fine." Like he's just helping out his billionaire fucking buddies. Um, for anybody who doesn't know, this is very much a TikTok thing. Like this is like case and goddamn point why
Oh,
you should fucking be on TikTok. Because if you're not on TikTok, you probably have no idea that this is happening. But China is people all over China are doing this amazing thing on TikTok where like people who work in these like manufacturing warehouses, the people who make everything basically in the goddamn world.
Lululemon. I mean, like I'm talking every single thing. Oh, do you want a house? Do you want a manufactured house that takes 3 people to build $10,000?
Yeah, and they're showing like these like they're just outing like these luxury bags where it's like, oh, you think you get that like $30,000 bag from Italy because it says made in Italy? No, dude. Everything except for the little tag on it that is like their logo is made in China, and then China ships it all over, and then they literally stitch 1% of that bag together, and that's what qualifies them to be able to say like made in Italy, and then they mark it the fuck up for like X amount of thousands percent more. For why, dude? Why? So all these manufacturers, it's kind of like a thing. I don't know. Like I haven't ordered anything, right? But like there are people basically saying like, here's how you can like basically scoot around your tariffs, Americans. Like you order direct from our like warehouses or whatever, and then there will be a personal shopper who can like send you the item, and because it's like a personal thing, it's not a tariff or whatever. I forget like the exact details, but
Yep.
they're just putting out all
Yep.
this shit like like we're spending like Tide Pods. It's like $18 here in LA to go to like fucking CVS and get a thing of like 20 Tide Pods or something. There it's fucking $1 for 20 Tide Pods. Like that's what you can buy. And the quality is, I mean, it's just amazing. And also then just this cultural renaissance that's happening, seeing all this too. You're seeing the quality of life that exists in China. It is mind blowing. It's fucking mind blowing. Like we have been so.
We have been sold some bullshit. I mean, don't get me wrong, the governments are their own entities, but when it comes to people wanting to help people, and yeah, make some money, no doubt about it. But
But their government was in a very unique situation. Like not no time to like go into this is not the point. But like sure, yes, they have like an authoritarian regime, right? But that government style would never work here. That was kind of like a very necessary style of governing for their particular crises that were happening, and it's fucking worked. Like their people and the way society operates is so different than the actual government that actually exists there. They've lifted people out of poverty. They've lifted like the homelessness just like doesn't even exist there. Like when most Americans think of China, they probably are thinking of like people in little huts and people just sleeping on the streets, like just overcrowded and whatever. No, dude. They have
no.
fixed like so many goddamn problems. I mean, it's nuts. So we're so fucked. Like we are so behind the times, and call them say that they're like authoritarian and communist, all you fucking want. It's worked. They're all living great goddamn lives. Like damn.
I follow a few Americans who've been teaching English over there, and just
That's what I want to do now. I'm not kidding. Like part of me is
yeah,
dead serious. Like, ugh, do I need to renew my passport? Like, what do I need to do to like go over there and do
it's
this?
clean. I mean, like it's clean. This one woman, she was like, I can walk around at any time. I have no fear of anything happening to me at any time. It's just it's wild. It sure is. It
It
sure
really fucking
is.
is. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Segment 5. Astrology in action. It's like NASA, but more traumatic. And kinda gay.
Kind of already discussed a few things, but I was just gonna say, is there anything in the astrology over the past few months you've noticed playing out? My biggest one, I mean, there's so many, but like Venus retrograde, for damn sure. It started very subtle. I was not noticing anything, and it wasn't. It was there. It repeated things from the pre-retrograde shadow, like very textbook. Like when something happened in that pre-retrograde shadow, that was like uncomfy. It's just like I tried so hard to avoid that moment again. Like I knew about it and everything, and try as I might, it still came back around. It still fucking sucked again. So now I'm like waiting for, the post retrograde shadow to clean it the fuck up, and like fix it. That's just kind of like tends to be what happens. That's like, it did do that, I guess, but mostly it has seriously brought some people, like random people from my past back into the picture, like people from college asking for a reading, like friends dealing with like massive crises who I never talked to, years, haven't talked to them. And all of a sudden I got a text message and they're like kind of trauma dumping a crisis on me. And they're like, can you like help me like and give any insight on this? And I'm like, fuck, man, what? Like it's been weird. Definitely like people
Uh,
from the past, like emerging in a very bizarre way. Platonic though. It's not happening in like
yes.
my romance zone or anything.
I I mean, March was the craziest month. I mean, so Venus went retrograde on my birthday. Well, totally agree with that. I when we talk about eclipses, we always say like, hey, like accident prone, be careful, like also they're malefic by nature. People can die. And you hear these things and you're like, okay, well, maybe. And then it comes true in your life and you're like, oh my fuck. And so that's really the big thing that happened. It was right before Virgo lunar eclipse. And like you feel it was that eclipse was on steroids. That full moon, it was giant and it was heavy. And so my best friend, one of my best guy friends, his uncle had just passed. And so he was driving up to Ohio and I was like, okay, like be careful. Like this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Like his uncle had died in a car accident. Quick, gone. I get back to my apartment and then I get a message on Facebook that was like, hey, honey, are you okay? I just heard the news. And it was like, when you get a message from a certain period, a person from a certain time in your life. And so I was like, oh no. So I go on Facebook. And then I see that someone that I love absolutely dearly was in an accident with a fucking train. I mean, first off, let me tell you, I am sold on Volvo. That is because that man had an open casket funeral and his daughter is still alive. I mean, and his daughter was born on my birthday. She just turned 15. So it's like, it was, I mean, the air got sucked out of my lungs. And so that's what I've been dealing with. But I got to speak. I mean, his sons asked me to speak at his funeral. So that was like a really cool and like therapeutic event. But that's the grief that we've been talking about. So when we say take a little extra time during eclipse season, especially if there's a Mercury retrograde happening within that eclipse season, because then everything is a little bit more accident prone. You think you always think things can't happen to you or they can't affect you. Then something like this does, and you're like, oh my fucking God. So that's where like the astrology really astrologied. And then 2 weeks later, we had the final Aries solar eclipse, and I'm like, woo, feeling good. And then a chapter was finally closed, and it was just like, so March was just filled with like heartache and heartbreak and closure and grief. And, now we're tending to that garden and we'll see what blooms.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Also helps color in the details about why there's been a hiatus. Like life can be so fucking nuts sometimes that like certain things just need to fucking pause for a minute. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. You didn't want to get on here and like all I could do was get through work and then, cry. And then people don't know what to say to you, so.
No, nobody knows what to fucking do. That's like one of the worst things because I think I'm pretty fucking adept at that. Like it's just, it's partially my job, but like, I'm like, I don't know, because nobody ever knows what to say in situations like this. I feel like I know very much like how much that sucks. I try really hard to be somebody who can find something to say or like knows to ask the question of like, do you want advice or do you want me to just listen or whatever? Like these things that matter to people so fucking much. Like, but so many people are ill-equipped to have like serious conversations like that. And it's really frustrating.
I'm going to give y'all a gem. And this is the gem. When you don't know what to say to someone, you say, hey, I don't know what to say, but I love you or I care about you and I'm here. And that will hit home instead of, you better just get over it. Or what?
Or even the like I kind of used to subscribe to like, oh, if you're not in a space where you can like handle somebody like unloading their stuff on you or whatever. Like, I know it's a weird line to balance, but I don't like the idea that you should say like, hey, listen, I'm not the one right now. Cause it just so shuts them down. You can convey that like you're not in this space. You don't have the capacity at the moment, right? To deal with that. But like, I think you can do it in a fucking better way.
I think you could do it way more kinder. Like, I care about you. And conversely on the other end, I want to be present for you, but right now I am at my own threshold. I'm at an emotional bandwidth. can I circle back? Can we
Totally.
hit you
If
back?
you care about them, don't just shut it down. Like, good God.
That is, I would chuck you off a building. If somebody said to me, I'm not the one, I'm not the one either. You will never speak to me again, you mother. That is rude as shit. I mean, my God, I'm not the one. I'm gonna kick you.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't need to be the one right now in this moment, but you can totally say that in a much fucking better way. Be like,
Kinder, my
I don't know what to say at
God.
the moment because I have a lot going on, but I would like to be able to discuss this when I don't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, good God,
Yes.
there's so many better ways to fucking handle these things. People just like, or to just sit there, like if somebody's like unloading you, and then your response is, I'm just not good at like conversations like this. Well, then motherfucker, get good at it because this is life, and like you need good relationships. You need to fucking handle this type of stuff, and you want people when you're going through something to have something to say to you. So like, take responsibility and learn
Right.
how to do this.
Yeah, ask somebody. Reach out to someone like Ryan or myself who is proficient in emotion.
Well, but pay me for that though. But pay me for that.
Oh, yeah, all day, all day, all day.
No, seriously. Or read books. Fucking look shit up. Like there's so much information out there. It's just like people don't think to like dive into that sort of stuff. I mean, it's so basic,
Mhm.
but I'm like, there's a whole world out there of information that you're not taking in, like just basic relationship concepts. You know what I mean? That people are like, oh, there's like styles of communication specifically geared toward relationships. Like, yeah, the plenty. Like I got books on books on books for it. Like this is important stuff to learn, and you experiment and play with it. It's not, again, like the let them theory. Like there's not gonna be some fucking magic cure all for everything, but like you're grow your goddamn toolkit, and then you'll learn as you use it what
Yes.
tool works in what situations with what people, etc. It's not hard.
Yes. Yes. Have your toolbox. Because that's the thing is that anytime anybody goes, like why people are afraid to go through the fire is they go back to that time where they didn't have a toolbox. They didn't have any tools. You are a developed even if you're a Neanderthal, you're not a Neanderthal if you're listening to this, first off. But you have, there are resources. You're not going to be that person who's just floundering and doesn't know what to do. You will, it will suck, but you're not going to be absolutely bewildered. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear that the fucking astrology for May at the end is more life-giving.
Really gonna be like, I'd say May through October. Well, and it's because of it's end of May for good. June through October, there's a serious big new wave coming in. It kind of like retreats then November to February. We get like a bit of a reversal to where we are now, but it's just a couple months. And then February 2026, this very new fucking era coming in, and we get a good fucking peek at what that can be end of May until basically end of October, I'd say. I mean, even early November, really. So like, I am excited astrologically. Okay.
Okay, segment 6. This one is called Spiritual Inventory. Because growth isn't real unless you talk about it on a podcast.
Spiritual inventory. Okay. Like, I guess answer one or all of these. I don't know. But like, for example, particularly in the last 3 months in our hiatus here, what's your biggest baggage and how can you lighten the load, or have you figured out a way to lighten that load? Emotional baggage, I'd say, or life baggage or whatever. Similarly, what's something you've recovered from life's lost and found? That's kind of cool.
Ooh.
And then also
Yeah.
karmic debts and karmic credits. Like what do you have to pay off? But that's good. Like, what do you have to pay off? And like, what's kind of like something that you're like, all right, now I'm owed a little something because I did a good thing here karmically. Any of those resonate with you?
God, all of them. Emotional. I mean, they all tie in. Like I've had to get very frank in relationships and like what I expected from people. If was that reasonable? Did I have uncommunicated expectations put on people that I love? That was something that I was like, I had to check myself. And then also advocating for myself and being like, what, I don't like this. And also saying things that I want. I'm deconditioning from being like the cool, chill girl.
Dude.
it's not, I am a laid back person I'm a passionate person, but when it comes to like my relationships, I'm like, yeah, man, like whatever. The things that I give a fuck about, I intensely give a fuck about. But for the longest time, it was like I would just let things go in every single relationship and I until it would fester and I would and so now I'm like, no, this is actually what I want and this is what I desire. This is what I want. And if you are not able to give this to me at this time or at all, that's fine. But now there are going to be boundaries in place, or I need, and not to punish you, because a lot of times people use boundaries as a form of punishment. It is to protect myself. And so I've gotten very serious on standing on business for myself. And because of that, my relationships have prospered. People have fallen away that needed to. I'm having open communication. It's so funny. I got into a not huge, but I got into a real big scuffle with one of my best friends. And I kept saying, I was like, you haven't done anything wrong. I said it like 8 times. And he was like, you know what? When somebody says that you haven't done something wrong, like that means that you in fact think. And I was like, actually, no, because I am the one. I am here. You haven't done anything wrong. I put myself in this position. I put myself here, and my feelings are hurt. But like, I'm taking radical responsibility for where I am in this scenario because you haven't done anything wrong. You know, I just was hoping for something, for a better dynamic, for you to show up more for me, and you weren't capable of doing that. And you also told me that. So who is to like? So I have no one to blame but myself for expecting more. And then, you know, he was like, oh, well, I'm sorry. And how can I be more present for you?
Well, that's a emotionally intelligent response right there, though. Like I wouldn't have.
That karmic reward came from what I have poured into him. Okay, what I have poured, because I pour into my people, and that's one thing, is that people are so quick to block, cut off, and not invest. And people, if you're being abused,
Right.
That's not what I'm talking about. But invest in your people. You know, the people that challenge you, the people that like that they make you mad. You know, and why are they making you mad? And so I got that great blessing because I had invested in him, and he is, has been a full-fledged terrorist for a while, but he is incredibly loyal to me because I didn't give up. Because I see who he is and I see who he's trying. And that's just one of my best girlfriends. I was like, I was very close to just detaching completely, which I can do. And what did I just say? What do we not do? I'm not going to block you. I'm just going to detach from you. And I was like, do you even want to be my friend anymore? And she was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we haven't seen each other in 2 months. She was like, I have no concept of time, Megan. I love you. What the fuck? And I was like, oh. Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, it's over. Me and you, toast. So instead of being like, farewell, like, bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad. So yeah, all of those. There I go. I'm off. I'm Buddy the Elf off into the ice, saying goodbye to everyone because I won't ask questions of like, what the fuck? Where have you been?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm dead.
So I'm done being the chill girl. Like I'm a laid back person by nature, but like God, advocating for myself has been such a game changer.
That's so wild because I would say same. Like that would totally be my answer. I would like you put it in good words of like I'm done being the chill girl. Like ditto. But like yeah, it's like similarly and like the advocating for myself thing. It's been like it's like hard to put it into words for me, but like I am making behavior changes toward this and I'm noticing it, like perceiving this shift. But like I'd say on a karmic like credit to me, I'm doing a really good job of like trying my best. It's not like perfect, right? But like to model good relational behavior, like show up in the right ways, but like also like, and I think that's not necessarily new for me. I think I've been good at this mostly, and I continue to try to improve and whatever. But at this stage, like just on a more recent example, someone got like super pissed at me, something that besides the point, but it was something that actually didn't happen. Like they got put on a new medicine and kind of perceived something, like their sensory perception was way off. Like they were smelling things that weren't there. Like,
oh, wow.
So I think their brain hyper focused on something and then created some story that like was like that never happened like at all. So how do you tell someone who's pissed at you? And I didn't know they were pissed for an entire week. So when I finally hit them up, you know, a week later, and I'm like, oh, you want to go like do this thing or whatever? They all of a sudden I find out a week later that they're fucking pissed at me, you know? And how do I tell them that what they are pissed at me for doesn't exist? Like this isn't real. This didn't happen. So that's a senseless thing, right? That oh, now they're senselessly pissed at me for something. How do I communicate this, etc.? So the way I did it was like, I mean, I won't give like all the details, but like I tried politely to tell them like that was not like basically what happened. I did it in much better terms. It's hard to explain that given the situation.
Yeah.
But I also said, you know me, like when conflict arises, I am someone who wants to try to tackle it as it arises. I find that to be the best conflict resolution scenario versus waiting. Like that is not me. This doesn't fit the pattern of me.
Yeah.
So I am so sorry that this whole week has gone by and I had no fucking idea that I apparently did anything wrong. You know, I am so sorry. You should know me better that if this was a problem and I was aware of it, I would have dealt with it or tried to immediately or the next day. Like, but a whole week has gone by. I am so sorry. So, but like, I'm saying that and then like also explaining like, and this is my conflict resolution style. Like I'm literally kind of walking them through why I'm trying to model a certain thing. I'm not being like, look, I'm modeling a relational behavior to you, but I am like, I think it's hard to like just be that person, which is what I've been doing, and expecting them to pick up on it when obviously they can't because they're not fluent in that type of stuff, right? So I'm trying to kind of like give exposition or narrative to like why I'm behaving a certain way or showing up for them in a certain way or using a certain like approach or whatever without coming off like too annoying about it, like
or pompous, where it's like, oh yeah, you know,
or like technical jargon. Like I'm not doing that shit, but I'm trying to explain like my inherent motivations for certain things, you know. And so then I go through this whole I did explain like why they were wrong essentially, but in my head I'm thinking just because I'm right doesn't mean they have to be wrong. So I'm kind of like giving a decent enough explanation to be like, this didn't happen, but also saying, but you know what? Like what matters is you were bothered. Like you perceived something in a way that you got very fucking bothered by. And I am definitely sorry. And that is never my intention to make you feel that way. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here's what I can do moving forward to try and make that not a thing. Even though there's not a whole lot I can do, but I'm still going to take that fucking responsibility on myself because like why it's an important relationship in my life. Why wouldn't I want to make sure that they know that I wasn't mad the way that they thought I was or whatever, you know? I don't know. Like, so that's a credit for me that I'm trying to like provide more context. Yeah. The debt for me is similarly it's different than like, this is a hard one to put into words. It's like, it's not people pleasing necessarily. But like there is an agreeableness to me, which I enjoy. Like, honestly, like, there's more of like where you were going a little bit too of like advocating for myself and I'm thinking of it in mundane fucking ways. Like I saw a video the other night that was like some like, I don't know. It wasn't The Masked Singer, but it was like celebrity lip sync, some stupid shit. It just popped up on my feed of like, remember when this person did this on this random singing competition show? And I had a friend who showed me that video like, I don't know, a year ago or something. And I remember like just not caring about it, but they thought it was like really cool. They loved this performance or whatever. And I remember agreeing with them on it being a cool performance, even though I know that I didn't give a fuck about it. Like that was not anything that entertained me or whatever. But my agreeableness was more like, in my mind, like a flex of being like, I like to understand why they like that. And like, just because I hate this thing doesn't mean I can't find something to enjoy about it. And so that was really where I was coming from at that point. But when I just came across it a few days ago, I really had this thought process. This is such a, you know, not big issue that I'm giving right now. But like, I really had this thought process of like, next time something like that pops up, somebody shows me a video of something that I'm like, nah, I don't like that song. You know what I mean? I just need to say that rather than try to like be like, oh, it's interesting. I see why you like it. And blah, blah, blah. I like that I can do that, but I know I can do that now. And now I want to start like being like, but here's a little bit of like my fucking taste and preference also, you know, like and I think part of that is like, I guess what's recovered from my lost and found in life a little bit is like some fucking self-value and self-esteem. Like I've had a lot of reason to not have it, honestly. And I'm, you know, I don't know. I won't even get into it, but like for a kind of reason, like I've rediscovered it a bit. And I'm so now that I'm like, oh, I remember what this feels like. I'm kind of trying to nurture that and grow it and whatever.
Yeah.
So that has given me some level of a self-assertiveness or like, yeah, advocate for the self that I want to do now. I'm not like, I think it'll be easier for me to play with it in scenarios like that, though, where it's like there's no big repercussion for me to be like, I don't love that song. If somebody's showing me a song that they like, I could just tell them like, it's not really my vibe, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of me.
It's important, you know, like, and it seems so tiny, but it is important to be like, why do I need to make you comfortable all the time? Why, like, you know, like, why do I don't need to, like, sit in some discomfort, sit in some awkward, because that's where relationships grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like I do genuinely appreciate that I can have that agreeable nature, because for me it's good, like at building bridges, it's creating common ground and whatever. Like I'm glad I do it. But in that process, I lose me, and that's not just a bad thing for me, that I'm now like not defining myself and like saying, well, here's my taste, or I'll give my, you know, opinions all the time on this podcast, or like in a political conversation with friends. Like, obviously I'm going to be asserting that stuff, but there's so many times where I don't need to be that agreeable. And by not, you know, just saying, I don't really like that song or whatever. I know that's so stupid, but really it's like I'm muting myself, not defining myself, and thus also giving that person like a pass at getting to know me, you know, like they're not getting to know me then, because I'm just kind of agreeing with them or trying to understand them so much. And it's like, that doesn't help either of us, to be honest. Like they should know me and my tastes, like, and if they like it, then great. The relationship will improve. If they don't like it, then okay, whatever.
Yeah. I think there's so much to this too, because by disagreeing too, it's like sometimes that people pleasing, or it's not even people, but that agreeableness, it's like, well, will you still love me? Like, will you still, and then when they show up and they're like, what are you? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And maybe they won't, you know, and that's the risk. But I think that's so like, I've been thinking about that, where I'm like, why do I take that agreeable approach? Like I kind of default to it, but like, when somebody else has some opinion even that I disagree with, maybe, or a taste or a preference or whatever that I disagree with, I always admire their like steadiness with it, like their ability to claim that for themselves. I think it's a cool trait, and it's now helped shape them for me, you know? So I there's not something to dislike there, even if I disagree. Like I really respect that. Yeah. So I'm like, well, you know, maybe that'll help improve things on my end too, you know?
We've reached the final segment, which is just the end of the episode. You've listened long enough. They're legally obligated to stop at this point.
As a wrap up, wisdom wrap up, any other lessons you've learned, anything that's come to light in this conversation or whatever, or final parting message?
Final parting message. Tell people that you love them. You know, like I didn't pick up the phone for Jeff when he called on my birthday, but I got it, and I kind of regret that. But also, I have a beautiful voicemail of him singing me happy birthday. But never, you know, like never waste an opportunity to tell somebody what they mean to you, how much they care. And just, you know, like love yourself and love others, because that's the whole reason we're here. You go through something like this, and I'm like, what exactly are we? What was I worried about?
That's a good one. Let me just like ditto that. Honestly, like that's such a good one. The only other thing I would say is like, maybe we'll do like something for it on like a next episode, but technically in 3 days from now, we're recording this on April 17th. In 3 days, it's the 2-year fucking anniversary of the first Clear Annoyance episode being published. What? Like, excuse me? So, like, I don't know. Like, given that we've been off for a few months, I'm like, man, I don't know that, like, we just do a big 2-year fucking shebang like we did for the 1 year. But, like, a little acknowledgement there, bitch. Like, we're still gunning at this 2 years later. Here we go. I fucking love it.
I know.
Oh, wow. That's cute. 2 whole years. Happy anniversary. Such bravery. Such courage. Such a long time of sharing your unsolicited opinions into the void. Now, for the love of God, please end the fucking transmission.
we've got more episodes coming. Like some are in the bank. Again, sorry for any dated references. For the ones that are in the bank, I will note in the show notes if like this is an old episode, and I will say, you know, sorry for any dated stuff. But we also are, you know, we're back at it, bitch, and gonna have a lot of new.
Yeah, and we're happy to be here, and we love you.
Okay, well, thanks.
Bye.